Finally, I thought I was in Australia. It was not a continent, but a number of islands grouped together, whose inhabitants were varied in temperament and appearance. There was a big crowd of children living there who tried to come towards us, but could not because of the distance and the waters that separated them from us. Nevertheless, they held out their hands towards Don Bosco and the Salesians, saying, "Come and help us. Why do you not fulfill what your fathers have begun?" Many held back, but others made every possible effort and rushed to push their way to reach the Salesians. I felt that all this indicated that divine providence was offering part of this evangelical field to the Salesians, but for some future period. Their efforts will bear fruit, for the hand of God will be constantly outstretched over them, unless they become unworthy of His graces. Oceania was the land of dreams of Don Bosco, and today it is the land of the educational mission for the Salesians. Education and the initial proclamation of Christ are urgent and should be adapted to the many local cultures of Oceania and to the culture of new migrants. The very presence of every Salesian community must be humanly educational and boldly evangelizing. Each Salesian must feel being in a permanent state of mission, witness of Christian joy in daily life, at school, in the parish, in recreation with young people. It is important to bear witness to the person of Jesus Christ and His gospel, and make Him known to those who have never heard about Him and who live their daily life without meaning. To those who have known Christ superficially, perhaps throughout the years. And to the many who want to give meaning to their lives and are in search of it. The lush vegetation and biodiversity of the Australian continent is what most impresses not only those who visit it for the first time, but also those who live there. Australia and its thousands of islands of varying sizes is a generous land that immediately captivated European explorers. Melbourne, the state capital of Victoria, is by population the second largest city of the country, but it is considered the most important at the cultural and artistic level. Founded in 1835 with beautiful Victorian buildings and dizzying skyscrapers, it is where the headquarters of many Australian multinationals and foreign automobile industries are found. Wonderful Melbourne, as it was dubbed in Victorian times, surprises also for the uniqueness of its climate. It is not uncommon, in fact, that on the same day you can experience each of the 4 seasons.
The first Salesians came to Australia in 1923. 1923 to take over an Aboriginal mission in the northern part of Australia. The mission only lasted 4 or 5 years because it was founded on misunderstanding with another religious order. When that mission failed, a group of them came south to Victoria and began the Salesian work here.
In the suburb of Melbourne, the Salesians of Don Bosco have given birth to their first school in the country, recognised in 1929 by the Victorian school system. Rupert's Wood Salesian College is now a modern school that goes from years 7 to 12 and is the educational point of reference for the surrounding district. This passion for education has also led to the creation of the St. Joseph College. This school was in fact born in 1965, thanks to a project of the Diocese of Melbourne and the determination of a diocesan parish priest who believed in the Salesian educational system. The familiarity typical of the educational style of Don Bosco goes hand in hand with excellent school programs characterised by an international sensitivity as well as attention to the local indigenous culture.
The school's action as a Salesian school is facilitating that education opportunity for disadvantaged Aboriginal people. Some of the challenges the students will face can be the sizes of the classroom. English is a barrier for some of them, with English being the third or fourth language they'll know. They'll generally know their own dialects from back home.
The Salesian mission here in Australia has changed a lot over recent years. There's a great sense of togetherness and family. In Melbourne, the Salesian educational activity has a special place for youth activities after school. This is the Don Bosco Youth Centre in Brunswick, also known as Don Bosco Hostel, for the opportunity to host young workers or students for extended periods. It sees every week about 1,200 youngsters for sports, leisure and even spiritual activities.
The motto of the Don Bosco Youth Centre reflects the multicultural place that it is. Many roads lead to God. The Jewish road, the Buddhist road, the Muslim road, the Christian road, the person of goodwill road. Let us travel together in peace and friendship.
In the state of Victoria, the Salesians are also involved in pastoral activities to support migrants, in particular from Burma. They become an important point of reference for many migrant families and refugees who arrive in Australia seeking work and a better and safer life.
The refugees are very much part of Australia. They are here all the time. They are poor, they are disadvantaged from other people. So for us Salesian, it is very important to work with refugees. So since my ordination, and I noticed that there are many refugees came to Australia because of the political situation. So I thought I should help them and encourage them, support them in every way. So I support them spiritually, like mass, teaching catechism, visit them and support them. But the other thing I really want to support them is education. For the Salesians, education is very important.
The welcome accorded to them and the pastoral care thus became an important opportunity to confirm the faith and evangelise the younger generation with the typical style of the Salesians.
Oh, there are many challenges faced by the Australia Pacific province. I guess one of the greatest of these is to keep our presence as strong as possible into the future, numerically and in terms of the age of those Salesians who are working with young people. In the last few years, the number of vocations in Australia and the Pacific has increased quite noticeably compared to the former decades where we were going through a difficult time with our own vocations. But recently, vocations are on the upward trend, which should enable us to continue serving the young people in Australia Pacific in our existing works and perhaps venturing into new frontiers in the future.
Inhabited by fewer than 1,000 years by Polynesian groups and steadily colonised by Europeans since the end of the 18th century, New Zealand is still considered a new land of new opportunities. The generosity of the land and its rich mineral resources is accompanied by a controlled urbanisation. One example is the city of Auckland, which is considered to be one of the 10th most livable cities on the planet. Located in the North Island of the country, Auckland has a metropolitan area of 1,400,000 inhabitants, which has been continuously growing for many decades compared to the rest of the nation. It is one of the few cities in the world which has harbours on 2 different sea basins and a consequent large commercial vitality that attracts new citizens from the rest of the nation and abroad. The Salesians of Don Bosco are present in the country since February 2010, when they began to animate a parish spread out in 2 populous suburbs of Auckland.
The activities that we do in the parish are pastoral activities like bringing the communion to the sick, looking after the marginalized family, such as the refugees. We've got an influx of refugees from Burma.
The choice of the local bishop was motivated by the presence of many young people from a surprising variety of ethnic groups. A good ground for the Salesian charism.
Our youth group is ranged between 11 and about 25 years of age, so there's quite a broad age group, and so a lot of the young people in our youth group have different like mental stages, they're at different mental stages in their life, and so I think their attitudes to our activities are that they're open to it, that they want to experience and taste that flavour of Don Bosco.
For me, at 20 years old, what it means to be a Christian is about making an impact, trying to share what you know, what you think, what you believe in with other people.
Young people are thus the first evangelizers of their peers in a territory and in an era of growing secularization. In a few years, the Salesians are creating a tight-knit community which seeks to value the different characteristics and traditions of migrants from other continents with those of the many local ethnic groups.
Organize the youth, to visit rest home. We also organized our youth to lead, to be readers and ministers of communion in Mass. Other activities is that we do is that we try and reach out to those areas where the refugees are by visiting them and just trying to make them feel at home in this parish.
In Auckland, the Salesians do not directly manage schools, but they have the pastoral care of 2 institutions that are in the territory of the parish. The Salesian style is certainly helpful in the evangelization of young people.
We don't run school here, but we as a pastoral leader in the parish and the school is within the parish, we support that. We support the school wholeheartedly. Whenever they need something, we will always be there. And we work very close and in a very good relationship with the principal and the staff.
To the children and youngsters, one speaks of God, and at the same time they are given the educational tools to address the small and sometimes great problems of their age. A good teacher, a good educator, becomes an important point of reference for the personal and community life of the young. Also in New Zealand, the Salesians support the families of migrants and refugees from other continents. The family of Glady is originally from Colombia, and they arrived in New Zealand in 2010 from Ecuador through the same government in Quito.
No sabía, o sea, nosotros dijimos, ¿y dónde es Nueva Zelanda? Nosotros no teníamos idea dónde es. O sea, de igual lo tomamos como con mucha alegría porque decíamos, bueno, si es para un cambio de vida, si es de pronto para volver a empezar de nuevo, si es para estar tranquilo, si de ahí no vamos a tener que irnos a otra parte, pues vamos a aceptar, pero sí lo pensamos mucho. Pero de igual manera pienso que fue una bonita oportunidad que se nos dio porque la verdad vivimos en un país muy hermoso.
Opportunity. It is what many are looking for at the other pole of the globe. And that's what all young people are looking for in life. Opportunities for study, for growth, for expression of their creativity and love of life. The Salesians, giving shape to the dream of their founder, ensure that the opportunities for professional growth really take their place alongside their human growth and their growth in their faith in Jesus Christ. The Solomon Islands is a nation in the South Pacific consisting of about 1,000 separate islands divided into 2 archipelagos, and many among these are very difficult to reach. The mainly mountainous and sparsely populated terrain favour the development of a lush jungle. The Salesians arrived in the archipelago in 1995 from Japan. Today they are active on the main island, Guadalcanal. with communities in Tetere and Honiara. Bishop Luciano Capelli is an active presence in the Diocese of Ghiso. Each foundation works with young people and families through the technical school and the parish. The people of the Solomons are very poor. The tropical climate favours few crops, mainly for subsistence agriculture. Here and there along the coast, one sees palm plantations whose fruits are destined almost exclusively for export. So are the minerals of the richest mines. The massive import of almost all goods still penalises the local economy and the lives of ordinary people of these places, although they are called happy islands. The Solomon Islands, today part of the Commonwealth, were the scene of fierce battles between Japan and the United States during the Second World War. The markets, though difficult to reach because of the severe lack of roads, are filled daily by those who have something to sell. Certainly not much. Some agricultural produce, some tropical fruit and fish. The small local economy is then periodically overwhelmed by the consequences of earthquakes, tsunamis and floods. The beautiful coasts are devastated, rendered inhospitable, and destroying reservoirs, leaving the local population without food and drink. To transmit the charism of Don Bosco and make it understood here requires patience. The educational proposal of the Salesians happens then through a welcoming attitude, witness of life, and the technical formation of young people, particularly those who for various reasons are excluded from the public school.
He will speak to us first.
Actually, at the moment we have automotive, carpentry, electrical, life skills and computer, and we have almost 320 students in this year.
Father Shrilmal Silva is from Sri Lanka. He was formed here as a young Salesian, and 4 years ago he returned as principal of the school.
It is, for me personally, it is to understand the culture and how am I going to understand the culture, and as well as how to interpret this culture, and how am I going to bring the life of Don Bosco to these students.
At the Don Bosco Technical Institute of Honiara, they are helped to find a job.
Once they finish their studies, they will be able to find a good job, and they will be employed by the other companies.
Information technology is, for example, crucial to a nation that is expanding its technological development. The tailoring and mechanics are courses which offer excellent prospects for self-employment of the younger generation. In 2014, the youth of the school built and distributed ovens and accessories to families who had lost everything because of the violent spring floods.
Hold down and then that's when the electric fan comes on.
Here is a single phase motor.
The Don Bosco Technical Institute also helps young people to develop a sense of collaboration. Very important in a society which is still dominated by tribalism, where over 70 different languages are spoken. Considering the general situation of the area and the local economy, the specialised training in agriculture and livestock is very important. The presence of the Salesians in the parish of Tetere is an important support for people and families. Recreational activities and activities for Christian formation attract Christian youth and adults at various moments. The Salesians are now the educational point of reference, especially for children and young people. There is no Salesian community in the Diocese of Ghiso. Today, Bishop Luciano Capelli, STB, is a living presence of Don Bosco in such a large and poor diocese. A total of 11,000 square kilometres covering 40 islands which are reached with great difficulty, even using any means of transport. Here is the Bishop of Ghiso, since 2007, who endeavours to evangelise and support the poor population through school development projects and social development. In Ghiso, there is not much possibility for agriculture. It is the second largest city of Solomon, with 7,000 inhabitants. Thus, people from all the surrounding islands come to the market. It's a centre where many people come during the day, and at night there is no one. They come to the market and bring things to sell. Bishop Capelli arrived in the Solomons between 1999 and 2000 to start with other confreres at technical school. Ethnic hatred was and is the challenge, which effectively hinders any real progress in this area. The school, by teaching a trade and rules of community life, becomes an opportunity for real growth for young people. The bishop gave impetus to start various trades, including mechanics, electrotechnology, carpentry, woodworking, and tailoring. It is completely different work, a different environment, a great place, but it is very difficult to reach all areas. I arrived in October 2007, when there was a terrible earthquake on April the 2nd, and everything had to be rebuilt, from the cathedral to the structures, both here and in the parishes. So my first task was to encourage people and help them rebuild. In Giso we have a parish, and then a small kindergarten for Catholic children. But the bishop is considering how to respond to the many requests for an elementary school. We built this Mama Margaret Centre for the local girls because there are no other possibilities of education for many of them. The archipelagos of Fiji and Samoa are the easternmost part of Oceania. The Fiji Islands are an archipelago of 322 islands, of which 106 are permanently inhabited, and 500 islets. The archipelago of Samoa, in turn, is the place on our planet which sees the first light of a new day. And its population is not by chance called People of the Sun. The islands of the Samoan archipelago offer their residents a nature at its best, thanks to a tropical climate, but also a limited agriculture almost entirely devoted to export, and periodically devastated by hurricanes. The Silesians arrived in Samoa in 1979, starting a presence in Moa Moa and 2 years later in Alafua. 3 other presences were later added at Salaleloga and Savai, where they work in a parish and a school. The technical centre in Alafua in particular enables Silesians to offer to many young people technical training, as well as human and Christian formation. The Silesian charism is expressed in animating the educational team, composed largely of lay people, to help them interpret the preventive system in the light of the local culture. 36 years after the first foundations, Samoa received the visit of the Rector Major of the Silesians, Angel Fernandez Artime. His arrival was long awaited and welcomed with joy by young people. On his part, the 10th successor of Don Bosco, everywhere he approached the confreres and young people to know their stories and needs and share their joy. The Silesian presence in Fiji dates back to 1998. When the Australian province decided to take charge of a missionary presence that soon proved very vibrant and blessed by new religious vocations. The presence in Suva is in fact a house of formation for young confreres, a house for students of theology and philosophy, and novices, who, while in formation, they are also involved in activities such as oratory, catechesis, and other social activities. They asked me how could the dream of evangelization be realized today. I say, first through the proclamation of the gospel, second the community. This is a very community-oriented people with a great community spirit. That is why the proclamation of the gospel must emphasize this profound reality of fraternity, according to the gospel, a reality of love, the reality of love as God has loved us. Finally, I believe that the proclamation of the gospel in Oceania needs apostles. Oceania truly needs vocations. It needs courage from all of us, or from those who are here in this land. May there be a fruitful evangelization here in Oceania. Papua New Guinea is found on the island of New Guinea, the second largest island in the world. It is characterized by a tropical monsoon climate and a very lush vegetation. It has a subsoil rich in minerals, and since 2002 it enjoys special autonomy. In 1980, the Silesians from the Philippines arrived in Papua New Guinea and are now present with very important educational institutions: a technical institute, 3 secondary technical schools, and a technical university institution. The latter is located in Baroko, in the capital Port Moresby, and is becoming a real point of reference for technical formation, not only of the capital. Don Bosco Technological Institute offers courses of study of excellence in various disciplines, from motor mechanics, electrical technology and electronics, and their applications in computers and motors. Information technology and the study of English, held at the university level, are the basis of the various university courses. College students of Don Bosco Technological Institute also welcomed the 10th successor of Don Bosco, Angel Fernandez Artime, during his visit in Papua New Guinea. Youthful joy was expressed in the traditional expressions of the island. The music, dances, and the colours of the costumes have allowed young people to express their desire to celebrate. Today, here in Papua New Guinea, is a special moment for me. In this visit in a part of the world which is very different from other parts. It is an opportunity to encourage you, to invite you all to continue this wonderful work of proclaiming the Lord Jesus. Truly, Don Bosco has a great capacity to open the hearts of all the young people in the world. I am convinced that Don Bosco has taken roots here, and no doubt his charism will have a beautiful future in this Church of Oceania. Port Moresby is the most populous city in the country, and a mountain range protects it from the heavy rain that seasonally falls on the area. The life of its inhabitants is based on trade. Agricultural products, timber and minerals arrive and depart from what is the most important port in the country. All are involved in informal trade for a living. Life in the suburbs and in general throughout Papua New Guinea is very simple and very poor. The children are many and happy. But as they grow, their prospects of work to earn a living are not so rosy. Papua New Guinea has surprisingly varied and complex cultures. It often changes from tribe to tribe. Moreover, until a few decades ago, many tribes lived isolated for hundreds of years. The music and the women are the greatest expression of the cultures of Papua New Guinea. It is a bridge to be close to young people and transmit the Silesian charism to new generations.
Well, the most difficult part of our work is the enculturation, because we are missionaries and we are foreigners in a way, and we have to deal with people who are not of our own culture. So that is a big challenge for us to work and to implant Don Bosco's charism here in these two countries as missionaries. And we look forward to really drawing up vocations and Salesians both from these two countries. Well, for us, our dream is to continue our presence, the relevance of our work, and of course, as our General Chapter 27 reminds or calls us, to go to the peripheries, to go where the poor are and where people really need us most.